It was a quiet morning in the small town of Willow Creek, the kind of morning that felt like it had been frozen in time. Birds chirped softly, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the old oak trees that lined the streets. People walked slowly to their workplaces, exchanging polite nods and greetings with neighbors they had known for years. In this town, everyone seemed to know everyone else, and yet, behind the calm exterior, life was never without its surprises. Amelia had lived in Willow Creek her entire life. She was a young woman in her early 20s, with bright eyes that reflected a mix of curiosity and determination. Her life so far had been ordinary by most standards. School, helping her parents at their small grocery shop, attending community events. But Amelia had always felt a quiet hunger for something more. She wanted to see the world beyond Willow Creek, to meet people whose lives were entirely different from hers, and to challenge herself in ways she hadn't yet dared. On that particular morning, Amelia woke up earlier than usual. She could hear the soft clatter of dishes from the kitchen downstairs as her mother prepared breakfast. The smell of freshly baked bread drifted into her room, mingling with the faint scent of wildflowers that grew outside her window. Amelia took a deep breath, savoring the calm before the day truly began. Today, she had promised herself, would be different. After dressing quickly in her favorite light blue dress, Amelia headed downstairs. Her mother greeted her with a warm smile, placing a plate of eggs and toast on the table. "You seem more awake than usual," her mother said, pouring a cup of tea. "Big plans today?" Amelia nodded, trying to keep her excitement in check. "Just something I've been thinking about for a while. I'm going to try something new, maybe meet someone I've never met before." Her mother looked at her with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Be careful, Amelia. The world is bigger than Willow Creek, and not everyone has good intentions." "I know, Mom," Amelia replied, her voice steady, "but I can handle myself. I've thought this through." After breakfast, Amelia grabbed her small backpack and slipped out the front door. The town was quiet, the morning sun casting long shadows on the cobblestone streets. She walked toward the edge of Willow Creek, where the town met the open fields that stretched for miles. She had heard stories of a nearby town called Maple Ridge, where people from different places came to work, trade, and share ideas. She didn't know exactly what she would find there, but the thought of meeting new people and learning new things made her heart race with anticipation. As she walked, Amelia noticed small details she often overlooked in her daily routine. The way the sunlight filtered through the trees, the soft hum of bees among the wildflowers, and the distant sound of a river flowing over rocks. Each step seemed to carry her further from the familiar and closer to the unknown, and she felt a thrill of independence she had never experienced before. By mid-morning, Amelia reached the outskirts of the town. The road ahead was narrow and winding, flanked by tall grasses that swayed gently in the breeze. She paused for a moment, looking back at the small cluster of houses she had always called home. For a brief second, she felt a pang of nervousness, questioning whether she was making the right choice. But then she reminded herself why she was doing this. She wanted to grow, to experience life in all its complexity, and to discover her own strength. As she continued along the road, Amelia saw a figure in the distance. It was an elderly man, carrying a wooden walking stick and wearing a wide-brimmed hat that shaded his face. He seemed to be moving slowly but with purpose, and as she got closer, she noticed the kind smile that appeared under his hat. "Good morning, young lady," he said warmly. "You're heading out early. Where are you off to?" Amelia returned the smile politely. "Good morning, sir. I'm going to Maple Ridge. I want to see what it's like there." The man nodded thoughtfully. "A brave choice. That road can be tricky if you're not careful, but it's also full of opportunities for those willing to look." Amelia thanked him and asked if he had any advice for someone visiting Maple Ridge for the first time. He chuckled softly. Listen more than you speak, and never be afraid to ask questions. People respect honesty and curiosity. And remember, even small acts of kindness can leave a lasting impression. Amelia carried his words with her as she walked the remaining miles. The sun climbed higher in the sky, and the path became less familiar, lined with tall trees whose branches formed a canopy overhead. Birds darted between the branches, and the occasional rustle in the underbrush reminded her that she was not entirely alone. Despite the occasional shiver of nervousness, she felt a deep sense of freedom. For the first time, she was truly on her own, relying only on her instincts and judgment. By the time she reached the outskirts of Maple Ridge, the town appeared bustling and lively, quite different from Willow Creek. People hurried along the streets carrying parcels, while children played near the fountains, their laughter echoing through the square. The buildings were taller and more colorful, and Amelia marveled at the variety of shops, each displaying unique goods she had never seen before. She wandered into a small bakery first, drawn by the irresistible smell of fresh pastries. The baker, a middle-aged woman with flour on her apron, greeted her with a warm smile. "Hello there. You look like you've come from far away. Can I help you find something?" Amelia returned the smile, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Yes, please. I've never been here before, and everything looks wonderful. I'd like to try something local." The baker laughed lightly and offered her a small pastry filled with a sweet fruit jam. "This is one of our favorites. Enjoy it." Sitting on a bench outside the bakery, Amelia took her first bite. The flavor was rich and comforting, unlike anything she had tasted back home. As she savored the pastry, she watched people passing by, noticing their diverse appearances, clothes, and accents. It was a reminder that the world beyond Willow Creek was bigger and more complex than she had imagined. Amelia's exploration continued throughout the morning. She visited small shops selling handmade crafts, a bookstore filled with shelves of dusty novels, and even a music store where the sound of a violin filled the air. Every new experience was a small adventure, and every person she met added a new layer of understanding about life beyond her hometown. Around midday, Amelia found a quiet park with a pond in the center. Ducks floated on the water, and families picnicked under the shade of old trees. She sat down on a bench, taking out a small notebook she always carried with her. She began to write about her journey, capturing the sights, sounds, and emotions of the day. Writing gave her a sense of reflection and clarity, helping her process everything she had seen and experienced. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, Amelia realized that her first day in Maple Ridge had taught her more than she could have imagined. She had faced uncertainty, embraced new experiences, and met people whose kindness and wisdom left a lasting impression. She understood that stepping out of her comfort zone was challenging, but it was also deeply rewarding. Eventually, as evening approached, Amelia decided it was time to find a place to rest for the night. She spotted a small inn tucked away on a side street and entered, greeted by the warm glow of lanterns and the friendly smile of the innkeeper. "Welcome. You look like you've traveled far. We have a cozy room available if you'd like to stay." Amelia accepted, grateful for the comfort after a long day of exploration. As she settled into her room, she reflected on everything that had happened, the conversations, the sights, the emotions. She realized that this was only the beginning of her journey. There were countless more experiences awaiting her, and she was determined to face them all with courage, curiosity, and an open heart. That night, as Amelia lay in bed listening to the distant sounds of Maple Ridge, she felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She had taken the first step toward discovering herself and the world beyond Willow Creek. And though she knew challenges lay ahead, she also knew that she had the strength and determination to meet them. For the first time, Amelia truly understood the thrill of adventure, the value of new experiences, and the joy of stepping into the unknown. Tomorrow, she thought, would bring new people, new stories, and new lessons, and she couldn't wait to embrace them all. The next morning, Amelia woke up feeling both excited and nervous. The soft golden light of dawn filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow across her room. She stretched and took a deep breath, remembering all the new experiences of the previous day. The people she had met, the streets she had explored, and the bustling energy of Maple Ridge had left a lasting impression on her. She felt like she was stepping into a completely new chapter of her life, one that was full of possibilities and unexpected lessons. After getting ready, Amelia went down to the inn's small dining area. The innkeeper greeted her with a cheerful smile, placing a simple but hearty breakfast in front of her. "Good morning. I hope you slept well. What will you do today?" Amelia smiled back. "I want to explore more of the town and maybe meet some of the people who live here. I want to understand what life is like for them." The innkeeper nodded, clearly approving of her enthusiasm. "Maple Ridge is full of interesting people. If you're willing to talk and listen, you'll learn a lot. And don't forget to visit the old market. It's where the heart of the town truly shows itself." After breakfast, Amelia stepped outside, feeling the crisp morning air fill her lungs. She decided to start with the old market. The streets to the market were alive with merchants setting up their stalls, children running to school, and townspeople greeting each other warmly. Amelia walked slowly, taking in the vibrant colors, the scents of fresh produce, and the sounds of laughter and conversation. Every corner of the town seemed alive with stories waiting to be discovered. When she reached the market, she was immediately overwhelmed by the variety of stalls. There were fresh fruits and vegetables, handmade jewelry, woven baskets, fragrant spices, and even local crafts like pottery and embroidered cloth. Each stall seemed to have its own personality, and the merchants were eager to share their stories with anyone willing to listen. Amelia wandered from stall to stall, asking questions and admiring the craftsmanship. A friendly woman selling woven scarves noticed Amelia's interest and began explaining how each scarf was made by hand. "Each pattern tells a story," the woman said, smiling. "Some are about the town, some are about nature, and some are memories of our ancestors. Every piece is unique." Amelia was fascinated. She asked questions about the techniques, the materials, and the history behind each design. The woman patiently explained everything, clearly enjoying Amelia's curiosity. By the time Amelia moved on, she had learned not only about the scarves, but also about the importance of tradition and the pride people take in their work. Next, she visited a small stall that sold spices from faraway lands. The colors and aromas were unlike anything she had seen before. The merchant, a kind man with a gentle voice, offered her a small sample of a spice blend. "This one is very special," he said. "It has traveled across mountains and rivers to reach Maple Ridge. It carries stories from the people who grew it, and from those who cooked with it for generations." Amelia inhaled the scent, feeling transported to another world. She realized that even small, ordinary items like spices could hold history, culture, and personal stories. She thanked the man and moved on, her mind buzzing with ideas and reflections. As she continued through the market, Amelia noticed a group of children gathered around an elderly man who was telling stories. Curious, she approached and listened. The man spoke of the town's history, of challenges people had faced, and of moments of joy and triumph. His voice was calm but full of energy, and the children hung on every word. Amelia felt a deep appreciation for the way stories connected generations, teaching lessons and preserving memories. Feeling inspired, Amelia decided to spend some time exploring the quieter parts of the town. She wandered down narrow alleyways lined with ivy-covered walls, discovering small gardens, hidden fountains, and tiny workshops where artisans created their crafts. Each corner seemed to hold a secret, and every person she met offered a glimpse into a life different from her own. She realized that Maple Ridge was a town full of stories, and she was determined to learn as many as she could. Around midday, Amelia stopped at a small cafe tucked away on a side street. The aroma of fresh bread and brewed coffee welcomed her inside. She ordered a simple sandwich and a cup of tea, then sat by the window, watching people pass by. From her spot, she could see a group of musicians setting up nearby for an afternoon performance. Their instruments were polished and gleamed in the sunlight, and the anticipation in the air was almost tangible. As she ate, Amelia noticed a young man struggling to carry a large crate across the street. Without thinking, she rushed outside to help. Together, they managed to move the crate to its destination. The young man smiled gratefully. "Thank you. I didn't expect anyone to help me, but I'm glad you did." Amelia smiled back. "It's no problem. It's nice to help out when I can." They began talking, and Amelia learned that his name was Lucas. He was an apprentice at a local workshop, learning the art of woodworking. Lucas shared stories of his training, the challenges of learning a new skill, and the pride he felt when he created something beautiful with his own hands. Amelia listened intently, asking questions and sharing her own experiences from Willow Creek. Their conversation lasted longer than either of them realized. Lucas offered to show her the workshop, explaining how each piece of furniture was carefully crafted, sanded, and finished. Amelia followed, fascinated by the intricate designs and the care that went into every detail. She admired the dedication and patience required to produce such high-quality work. Lucas noticed her interest and encouraged her to try a simple task herself. She hesitated at first, unsure if she could do it correctly, but with his guidance, she carefully sanded a small wooden block. When she finished, she felt a sense of accomplishment and pride, realizing that even small efforts could create something meaningful. After leaving the workshop, Amelia continued her exploration of the town. She visited a library that had been standing for over a century, its walls lined with books of every genre imaginable. The librarian, an elderly woman with twinkling eyes, showed her rare manuscripts and shared stories about famous authors who had once visited Maple Ridge. Amelia spent hours reading and taking notes, absorbing knowledge that she had never encountered before. By late afternoon, Amelia felt tired, but exhilarated. Her day had been filled with learning, helping, and connecting with people in meaningful ways. She realized that every interaction, no matter how small, had a story behind it. Every person she met contributed to her understanding of the world, teaching her lessons that went beyond what she could learn in a classroom. As the sun began to set, Amelia returned to the inn. The streets of Maple Ridge were bathed in a golden glow, and the town seemed even more magical than it had in the morning. She paused to watch children playing near the fountains, merchants closing their stalls, and families walking home together. She felt a deep sense of belonging, even as a visitor. The town had welcomed her curiosity, and in return, she had embraced its stories and lessons. Back in her room, Amelia reflected on the day. She thought about the people she had met, the things she had learned, and the experiences that had made her feel both humble and inspired. She realized that her journey was not just about exploring new places, but about understanding the lives and perspectives of others. Every story she encountered added depth to her own life, shaping the way she saw the world and herself. As night fell, Amelia prepared for bed, feeling grateful for the day's experiences. She wrote in her notebook, capturing the moments that had touched her the most. She knew that tomorrow would bring new adventures, new people to meet, and new lessons to learn. And she was ready to embrace them with the same curiosity, courage, and open heart that had guided her so far. Before closing her eyes, Amelia looked out the window one last time. The The streets of Maple Ridge were quiet now, illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns. She felt a sense of peace and anticipation, knowing that this was only the beginning of a journey that would shape her in ways she could not yet imagine. She drifted to sleep with a smile, excited for the promise of tomorrow. The morning sun streamed through the curtains of Amelia's room, painting the walls with a warm golden light. She stretched and sat up, taking a deep breath. The excitement of yesterday's adventures in Maple Ridge still lingered in her mind. She had met so many fascinating people, learned so much, and felt a sense of accomplishment she had never known before. Today, she thought, would be another day of discovery, and she was ready for whatever it had in store. After a simple breakfast at the inn, Amelia set out with her small notebook tucked safely into her bag. She decided to explore a part of town she hadn't seen yet, the Riverside district. She had heard from Lucas that it was a place where fishermen brought in their daily catch, where craftsmen worked on boats, and where the smell of the water mingled with fresh bread from nearby bakeries. Amelia was drawn to the idea of seeing the town from a different perspective, and she wanted to capture it all in her writing. As she walked toward the river, the streets became narrower, and the air carried a gentle, salty scent. Children ran past her, chasing a ball, while merchants unloaded crates filled with fresh vegetables and flowers. Amelia paused to watch a group of elderly men sitting outside a small cafe, laughing and telling stories as they played a quiet game of chess. Their camaraderie fascinated her, and she made a mental note to write about it later. When she finally reached the riverside, Amelia was taken aback by the beauty of the scene. The river sparkled in the morning sun, reflecting the blue of the sky and the green of the trees along its banks. Boats of different sizes were tied to the docks, some bobbing gently with the movement of the water. Fishermen worked diligently, sorting through their catches and preparing nets for the next trip. The atmosphere was peaceful, yet alive with quiet activity. Amelia wandered along the dock, observing the fishermen and the boats. One of the men, noticing her curiosity, waved her over. "Hello there. You're new around here, aren't you?" he asked, his voice friendly. Amelia nodded. "Yes. I'm visiting. The town is beautiful, and I wanted to see the riverside. Everything here seems so alive and full of stories." The man chuckled. "You're right about that. Every fish, every boat, every net has its own story. Would you like me to show you around?" Amelia agreed eagerly, and the man introduced himself as Thomas. He was patient and kind, explaining the work that went into fishing, maintaining the boats, and preparing for market. He even allowed Amelia to help sort a few fish, teaching her the proper way to handle them and how to ensure they stayed fresh. Amelia listened carefully, appreciating the care and skill involved in a trade she had never known intimately before. After a while, Thomas invited her to visit a small workshop by the river where boat repairs were done. Amelia followed, fascinated by the craftsmanship she saw. Wooden beams were carefully shaped, sails mended with precise stitching, and tools lined up neatly along the walls. A young apprentice named Clara worked there, sanding the surface of a small boat. Amelia introduced herself, and the two quickly fell into conversation. Clara shared stories about learning the trade from her father, the challenges of working with delicate wood, and the joy of seeing a finished boat glide smoothly across the river. Amelia felt inspired by Clara's dedication and determination, realizing that every skill, no matter how practical or simple it seemed, carried a deeper story. After leaving the riverside, Amelia wandered toward the outskirts of Maple Ridge, where a small hill overlooked the town. She climbed to the top, taking in a breathtaking view. From this vantage point, the town looked like a patchwork of rooftops, cobblestone streets, and greenery, all framed by the sparkling river. Amelia felt a profound sense of connection to the place, as if she could see the lives of everyone in town moving and intertwining beneath her gaze. She opened her notebook and began sketching, capturing the beauty and energy of Maple Ridge from above. As she sketched, a gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. "That's quite a view, isn't it?" Amelia looked up to see a middle-aged woman standing nearby, holding a basket filled with flowers. The woman had a kind face with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories. "Yes, it's amazing," Amelia replied. "I've never seen anything like it. The town feels alive in a way I can't describe." The woman smiled. "It does, doesn't it? I come up here almost every day to see it. My name is Margaret. I bring flowers for the town square, and sometimes I like to watch the people go about their day. There's a lesson in every movement, a story in every face." Amelia felt drawn to Margaret's words and asked if she could walk with her back to the town square. Margaret agreed, and the two women walked together, chatting along the way. Margaret spoke about her life in Maple Ridge, the people she had met, and the changes she had witnessed over the years. She also told Amelia about the festivals, traditions, and small acts of kindness that made the town special. Amelia listened attentively, absorbing the wisdom and experiences Margaret shared. When they reached the town square, Amelia noticed a commotion near the fountain. A small crowd had gathered, watching a young girl attempting to juggle 3 apples. The girl stumbled a few times, and the crowd gasped and laughed lightly. Amelia approached, curious to see what would happen. The girl paused, frustrated, and looked around. Amelia stepped closer and offered a kind smile. "Keep trying. Everyone starts somewhere, and practice always helps." The girl's face lit up, and she nodded, taking a deep breath. On her next attempt, she successfully juggled all 3 apples for a few seconds, and the crowd cheered. Amelia clapped along, feeling a sense of joy at witnessing someone overcome a small challenge. She realized that even the simplest moments could hold meaning, teaching lessons about patience, perseverance, and encouragement. After the crowd dispersed, Amelia continued to explore the square. She visited a small art gallery where paintings and sculptures created by local artists were displayed. The gallery owner, a cheerful man named Henry, explained the inspirations behind each piece. Amelia was fascinated by the variety of styles and subjects, from landscapes to portraits, and from abstract designs to realistic depictions of everyday life. She asked questions about the techniques, the stories behind the art, and the challenges artists faced in sharing their work. Henry's passion for art and his willingness to share knowledge inspired Amelia to think more deeply about creativity and self-expression. Later, Amelia wandered into a small bookstore she had noticed earlier. The owner, a gentle woman with silver hair, welcomed her warmly and recommended a few books about history, culture, and personal growth. Amelia spent hours browsing, reading excerpts, and jotting down notes. She realized that knowledge and wisdom could come from many sources, and that learning was an ongoing journey that could never truly be completed. As the afternoon faded into evening, Amelia felt both exhausted and exhilarated. She had spent the entire day learning, exploring, and connecting with the people of Maple Ridge. Each interaction had left a mark on her, shaping her understanding of the world and her place in it. She knew that every day brought new opportunities, and she was eager to embrace them all. Returning to the inn, Amelia reflected on her experiences. She thought about Thomas, Clara, Margaret, Henry, and the young girl juggling apples. Each person had taught her something valuable, lessons about skill, dedication, kindness, creativity, and perseverance. Amelia realized that her journey was not just about seeing new places, but about understanding people, learning from them, and growing as a person. Before going to bed, Amelia opened her notebook and began writing about the day. She described the riverside, the hilltop view, the town square, and the art gallery in vivid detail. She captured the emotions she had felt, the lessons she had learned, and the small moments that had made the day memorable. Writing gave her a sense of closure and reflection, helping her process everything she had experienced. As night settled over Maple Ridge, the town glowed softly under the light of lanterns. The streets were quieter now, but the memories of the day lingered in Amelia's mind. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the people she had met, the experiences she had embraced, and the lessons she had learned. She knew that the journey ahead would continue to challenge her, teach her, and inspire her. Lying in bed, Amelia closed her eyes and thought about the adventures still to come. She realized that life was a series of stories, and she was now a part of the many tales of Maple Ridge. With each new day, she would continue to explore, connect, and grow, discovering not only the world around her, but also the strength, courage, and curiosity within herself. For the first time, Amelia understood that adventure was not just about grand gestures or distant lands. It was about the small, meaningful moments, the conversations, the acts of kindness, the lessons learned, and the connections made. And she was determined to embrace every one of them, ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. The morning in Maple Ridge arrived quietly, with a soft mist lingering over the cobblestone streets and the gentle sound of birdsong filling the air. Amelia woke up feeling a sense of anticipation. The past few days had been full of discovery, learning, and meeting remarkable people, but today felt different. She had a feeling it would be a day of challenges, of stepping further out of her comfort zone, and she was ready for it. After a light breakfast at the inn, Amelia set out with her notebook and a small satchel of supplies. Today she planned to visit the outskirts of the town, where the hills and forests began. She had heard from Margaret about an old community center hidden in the woods, a place where people gathered to learn, teach, and share stories. The idea of exploring the forest and finding this hidden gem thrilled Amelia. She loved the idea of discovering something not every visitor got to see. As she walked toward the forest, Amelia noticed how the streets of Maple Ridge seemed different in the morning light. The town was quieter now, with most merchants busy arranging their stalls and townspeople moving about with purpose. She passed by the riverside once more, where Thomas and a few other fishermen were already preparing their nets for the day. Amelia waved, and Thomas called out, reminding her to take care along the forest path. She smiled, feeling the warmth of community she had grown accustomed to. The road leading to the forest was narrow and winding, bordered by wild flowers and tall grass. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Amelia felt a sense of excitement mixed with a little nervousness. The forest was unfamiliar, and she had no idea what she would encounter, but the thought of adventure pushed her forward, and she took each step with careful determination. After about an hour of walking, the trees grew taller and denser, their branches forming a canopy that filtered the sunlight into soft patches of light on the forest floor. Birds chirped overhead, and the rustle of small animals in the underbrush reminded Amelia that she was surrounded by life she didn't fully understand. She paused to write in her notebook, sketching the path, the sunlight through the leaves, and the small wildflowers growing at her feet. She realized that every journey, no matter how long or short, had its own unique beauty if one took the time to notice it. Soon, Amelia heard voices in the distance. She followed the sound, and after climbing over a small hill, she discovered the community center Margaret had mentioned. It was a modest building, surrounded by gardens and benches. Smoke from a small chimney curled into the sky, and the cheerful chatter of people working and learning carried through the air. Amelia felt a sense of wonder. This was a place she could have never imagined finding tucked away in the quiet forest. A friendly woman with a sun-kissed face noticed her hesitation and waved. "Hello there. You must be new. I'm Eleanor, one of the coordinators here. Come join us. We're just about to start a gardening workshop." Amelia nodded eagerly. "I'd love to. Thank you for inviting me. Inside, the room was warm and welcoming, filled with the earthy scent of soil and plants. Tables were arranged with pots, seeds, and gardening tools. Several people, young and old, were already busy planting seeds, tending to small plants and exchanging tips. Amelia joined in, guided by Eleanor, and quickly became absorbed in the process. She learned how to plant seeds carefully, how to water them just enough, and how to nurture them as they grew. It was hard work but rewarding, and she loved seeing the small sprouts begin to emerge from the soil. As she worked, Amelia listened to the conversations around her. People shared stories of their lives, their struggles, and the lessons they had learned. One older man spoke about how gardening had taught him patience and resilience. A young woman explained that tending plants gave her hope during difficult times. Amelia realized that this simple activity was more than just planting seeds. It was a metaphor for life, for nurturing growth, and for the importance of care and dedication. After the gardening workshop, Eleanor invited Amelia to join a storytelling circle. The room was filled with people sitting in a circle, each ready to share their experiences, memories, or lessons. Amelia listened intently as one by one, people spoke about their lives, their dreams, and their challenges. Some stories made her laugh, some made her thoughtful, and some even brought a tear to her eye. She realized how powerful storytelling could be, connecting people across generations, offering wisdom, and building understanding. When it was her turn, Amelia shared a story from Willow Creek about a festival in her hometown and how it had shaped her love for community and tradition. People listened attentively, nodding and smiling, and she felt a sense of pride in being able to contribute. Eleanor praised her for her courage, saying that sharing one's story was an act of bravery and that it helped create bonds between people. Amelia felt a warmth in her heart, knowing that even though she was far from home, she was beginning to belong somewhere. Later in the afternoon, Eleanor suggested they take a walk along a hidden trail that led to a small waterfall. Amelia eagerly agreed. The trail was narrow, winding through thick trees and over moss-covered rocks. Birds flitted through the branches, and small streams of water trickled along the path. Amelia felt a sense of peace, interrupted only by the soft chatter of Eleanor and a few others accompanying them. When they reached the waterfall, Amelia was stunned. Water cascaded down smooth rocks into a clear pool below, and sunlight sparkled on the surface. The sound of the waterfall was soothing, and she felt a profound sense of calm wash over her. Eleanor explained that this place had always been special to the community, a place for reflection, inspiration, and quiet connection with nature. Amelia sat by the edge of the pool, dipping her fingers into the cool water, and took a moment to simply breathe and absorb the beauty around her. On their way back, Amelia noticed a small group of young children struggling to balance across a narrow wooden bridge over a creek. She walked over and offered gentle encouragement, helping each child find their footing. The children laughed, grateful for her support, and Amelia felt the joy that came from helping others. She realized that even small acts of kindness, whether guiding a child, offering a smile, or sharing a story, could make a meaningful difference. By the time Amelia returned to the community center, the sun was low in the sky, casting golden light over the forest. The group had gathered to share tea and bread, celebrating the day's work and experiences. Amelia felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had worked hard, learned new skills, connected with people, and contributed in her own way. The community welcomed her warmly, and she realized that even as a visitor, she had become part of something larger than herself. Walking back to the inn in the evening, Amelia reflected on the day's adventures: the forest, the community center, the waterfall, and the children she had helped. All of these experiences had challenged her, inspired her, and taught her valuable lessons. She understood that growth often came from stepping into unfamiliar territory, from trying new things, and from embracing both effort and patience. Back in her room, Amelia opened her notebook and began writing. She described the forest trail, the waterfall, the gardening workshop, and the stories she had heard. She captured the emotions she had felt, the calm of the waterfall, the joy of helping the children, the warmth of the community circle. Writing helped her process the day and solidify the lessons she had learned. As night fell, the forest outside the inn grew quiet, and the lights of Maple Ridge glowed softly in the distance. Amelia felt a deep sense of gratitude for the experiences of the day, for the people she had met, and for the opportunities to grow and learn. She realized that life was filled with hidden treasures, places, people, and moments that could teach, inspire, and shape her if she only took the time to seek them out. Before drifting off to sleep, Amelia thought about the journey ahead. She knew that challenges would continue to come, that not every day would be easy, and that growth often required patience and courage. But she also knew that with curiosity, kindness, and determination, she could meet whatever came her way. The lessons of the forest, the community, and the waterfall would stay with her, guiding her as she continued to explore the world around her. And as Amelia closed her eyes, she felt a quiet excitement for tomorrow. Another day awaited, full of possibilities, experiences, and stories yet to be discovered. She was ready to embrace it all, knowing that each step she took brought her closer to understanding not only the world, but also herself.